All right, guys, for this video, again, we're going to work with point slope form and slope intercept form. But what's going to happen is we're only going to be given 2 points that lie on the same line. So what we're going to add in here is we have to find the slope. And we're going to find the slope by using the slope formula. You can see I have written in red, that's point slope form, and then blue is slope intercept form. So I'm going to keep referring to those 2 forms as we do these problems. I'm going to do number 1 and number 3, and this whole stuff right here, I'm not really going to go over this in the video, but I'm going to kind of go over this in class because it can kind of give us a shortcut for saving us some work if I want to go from point slope to slope intercept form. All right, let's look at number 1. Okay, number 1, it's saying, all right, I want to find an equation, and it says, directions say, always important, read the direction. It's saying in slope intercept form that passes through the given 2 points. Well, what's different here than any other problem that I've worked with, I don't have the slope. But what I can do is I'm going to use this formula for slope. Remember, it's it's rise over run, or y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I have to find the slope, and I'm going to use this formula. So if I looked at number 1, I could say the first point. I could say the negative 4 is x sub 1, the 5 is y sub 1. For the 0, I'm going to say that's x sub 2, and for the 2, that's y sub 2. So I'm going to find the slope by using this formula. So I'm going to have m equals, in the top, I'm going to subtract the y's, which are 2 and 5. So I'm going to put 2 minus 5. Now, since I started with this 2 in the top, that means I have to start with this 0 in the bottom. So I'm going to x out the y's because I dealt with that. In the bottom, I'm doing this, right? X sub 2 minus x sub 1. So I'm going to have this 0 minus this negative 4. And don't forget to put the negative before the 4. So let's see here. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. And 0 minus negative 4, well, that becomes 0 plus 4, which is 4. So I figured out my slope is m. Then from this point, I kind of know what to do. In order to get it in slope-intercept form, what's not written in here is I actually have to go to point slope form, and then from there, I'm going to solve for y to get it in slope-intercept form. Now, I could pick any point. I'm going to pick this point, this 0, 2, because that's probably going to be easier to work with than negative 4, 5. So if I pick this point, and I use this slope to get it in point slope form, I'm going to have y minus this y value of 2 equals the slope, which is negative 3/4, times x minus the x value on the line, which is this, the 0. So I'm going to have x minus 0. And then it's just going to take me 2 more steps. I'm going to distribute the negative 3/4 here. So I'm still going to have y minus 2 equals this negative 3/4 times x is just negative 3/4 x. Now you're going to see why I picked the point 0, 2. Negative 3/4 times 0 is just 0. So I'm not even going to put anything onto it. And then the last thing I do, I'm just going to add 2 to each side, add 2. And there I have it. The equation of this line in slope-intercept form is y equals negative 3/4 x plus 2. All right, so the only thing we added in here, you have to find the slope. Then from there, then we put it in point slope form and then solve for y to get it in slope intercept form. All right, let's do one more problem. Let's do number 3. Okay, so same thing. I don't have the slope. So if I want to get the slope, in the top, I'm going to subtract the y values. So I'm going to circle those. Let's say I start with this negative 4. I'm going to have negative 4 minus, and then this is going to be negative 1. Okay, I'm going to cross those out. Now, since I started with this negative 4, it means in the bottom I have to start with this 4 for the x's. So there, I'm going to have this 4 minus this 1. So I'm going to have 4 minus 1. So on the top, let's see here, add a line, change the sign. This is going to become negative 4 plus 1, which is negative 3. And then this 4 minus 1 is 3. Negative 3 over 3, that reduces to negative 1. So that's my slope. All right, so now I have the slope and I have 2 points on the line. I can pick whatever point I want to use to get it in point slope form. I'm going to pick this point just because the number is smaller. So if I get this in point slope form, I'm going to have y minus this y value here of negative 1, so it's going to become y plus 1, equals m, which is negative 1, times the quantity of x minus this x value here of 1. So when I add a line, change the sign, I'm going to have y plus 1 equals negative 1 times the quantity of x minus 1. Okay, I'm going to have the same 2 steps. I'm going to distribute this negative 1. So I'm going to have y plus 1 equals negative 1 times this x is negative x. Negative 1 times this negative 1 becomes positive 1. And then the last thing I do to get it in slope-intercept form, I solve for y. I subtract 1 from both sides. So I wind up just getting y equals, these cancel each other out, just y equals negative x. So that's the answer in slope-intercept form there.